Hello and thank you for joining me again. In this, we're going to go into the heart space, how I believe, I can't prove, but I believe it's a core part of how we can transmute and take control of our own reality and affect others around us, as well as why this is more important now more than ever because of a nefarious grid that we're living within. So, heart coherence. This is something that is mainly known out there, we could say, through the Heart Math Institute. Now, I'm not a representative for them in any way, but I'm giving them a plug here for a reason. And that's because of the science behind the heart and the intention of just even connecting with the heart, how it can affect us in a way of bringing us into coherence, a calm, a clear state of mind and body. And just some information that's known from heart math. The human heart's magnetic field can be measured several feet away from the body. Negative emotions can create a nervous system chaos, but positive emotions do the opposite. Positive emotions can increase the brain's ability to make good decisions. You can boost your immune system by focusing on positive emotions, gratitude. And in fetal development, the heart forms and starts beating before the brain begins to develop. My thing with this is that when we're connecting to the heart space, though I can't prove this, we know that the heart is the first organ that manifests in the womb. To me, this is the core of one's light blueprint as it's coming into this physical reality. Through just a simplistic thing, and I've been doing this for many years with different practices, it goes way back. And heart math have their own techniques, but just something as simple as setting the intention to connect to the heart space and breathing in and out of that heart space over half a minute, 2 minutes can bring us into a state of calmness, clarity, and coherence between the brain and the heart. And we now know that the heart has its own neurons as well. This is core for me, helping thousands of people now. What I can tell you is that this comes down to self-mastery in terms of the applications that this can be used for, a breathing technique connecting with the heart. You can be healed completely, though there is going to be memories, and some people can get triggered by those memories even if they think they are healed. So unless one is really in a state of forgiveness and a healing has taken place, and of course this can be applied to many different scenarios, so I'm painting this with a broad brush here, but emotional regulation is, to me, what's needed to be taught. And with this, through self-mastery, you can also, through coherence, start to tap into a higher state of consciousness, which is where some of these extraterrestrials, masters, saints and sages and angelic intelligences can interface with you in a state, because now you're in a higher vibratorial state. For some of these beings, it's very sickening to be around human thoughts when we're in a lower vibratorial state. So not only is it good for communication multidimensionally, but it's good for your own health, longevity, sleeping well, getting rid of anxiety or managing anxiety, depression, the list goes on and on. So the heart space is something that I recommend looking into, whether it's with heart math or other teachers that are looking in similar areas, such as Greg Braden talks a bit about this, as well as Joe Dispenza. And I'll mention Bruce Lipton here. We could call them the three amigos because their work is very beneficial in terms of self-mastery and soul evolution from my perspective. I don't know them, but this is just saying, here's some resources to look into that may spark some ideas and a flame inside your mind that can help you empower yourself even more, as well as my books, course material and everything else that I've got out there. So our field, our heart, our energy, it affects others. And what's happening in cases of contact, when you feel hair standing up, temperature changes, goosebumps, like I was saying, when the crafts can land on you, this is also what's happening when beings are in your presence. Whether it's past spirits, whether it's extraterrestrials, elementals, Bigfoot, fairies, aliens, angels, the whole list goes on. What's happening is when you're feeling that sensation, something's light body is overlapping yours. And this is where you can start to project thoughts, what thoughts, feelings, inner visions come back. and our energies go right out. We affect others when they're in our environment. And it's now even known through some of these studies that if you're going into a state of coherence with the heart, between the brain and the heart, and you go into a room where it's a little bit chaotic, if you've mastered that enough, in my opinion, and what we know through our energetic field, it can actually change the energy of the environment when you're walking in there. Much, we could say, in an opposite way, if you've walked into a room where there's been an argument, you can feel that. That's the energy. That's the energy field of the beings that are in there, the humans, we could say in this case, that have had an argument. You walk in, now you're feeling that. So when you look back at the Maharishi effect, and if you think about the effect that that has on the mass consciousness in terms of, or even locally, to reduce crime, think about now if enough of us are doing something like connecting to the heart and standing within our own power and having forgiveness, love and gratitude, what that can do on a planetary scale. And again, it's nothing new, but it's just a perspective, especially for those that may be new to these concepts and ideas. But there is science behind a lot of this, especially with forgiveness, and how forgiveness not only helps the person that's forgiving someone, but it also helps the person that's being forgiven. These lower vibratorial states keep us trapped, and there's a reason for that, and why things are pushed upon us in such a way to keep in the lower three chakras, which is where a lot of these entities, lower vibratorial state entities, will try and hook into us, and do in a lot of cases. So there's much for us to understand, and that's why I'm doing this. And there is cycles of ascension. Now here's myself with the Mitchell Hedges skull on the left. On the right, that's actually a Mongolian skull. So I'm at Eseti there on the left there, where the caretaker came through, and James has actually had a few of the crystal skulls there over the years, the main ones. On the right here, I was with the friend Shirley, who was caretaking for a couple of the Mongolian skulls, which are a different set. Some people say we can recreate these. Some say it would take a long time to recreate these in the way that it's being done and with technology. All I know is that there are things we can't explain, and there is an intelligence behind these skulls. And when we go back, we find more and more things that we really can't explain today. Like the building of the pyramids, there's theories, but people have even up to today tried recreating even smaller scale versions of the Egyptian pyramids, and it can't be done in the same way. Here's another example, and this is actually the tip of a finger that Michael Tellinger is holding here. So this is myself with Michael Tellinger. Now Michael's done a lot of great work over the years, and in terms of this, he's holding the fingertip of a giant there. And so things aren't as they seem, and that's because there's a controlled narrative. I'll go a little bit into Michael's work here, and I've got permission years ago to use these slides, because when he presented this, I had an aha moment. An aha moment that made sense of some of the material that I'd channeled from Shiji, from the best-selling series that I've done. Now, I might not be the first in this area, obviously, because Michael Tellinger, with what I'm about to present, had been presenting this for a while, and I'm sure others had, and we've heard the theories, but I had my own aha moment connecting the dots from what Shiji was revealing. Now I'll just read something to you. So this is from the book of Shiji 2. There's actually 4 of them. And this is chapter 3, Manifesting Your Tomorrow, going down to, if you've got the paperback, page 54. Now I won't go into the whole thing, but I'm just going to read from page 54 a little bit onwards. So just listen to this. For some time now, multi-dimensional artifacts like the obelisks and pyramids have been seen in your towns, cities and countries. They also exist on other planets, moons, suns, the stars in this galaxy and beyond. Some of them were created to assist humanity, such as the crystalline multi-dimensional pyramids created by the Elohim. Most of you do not know about them because of the numbing of most of the human senses, multidimensional mind and the pineal gland. They hold a vibration so they can come through easily and be noticed by those who are ready. The ancient structures and the layout of the many ancient cities are also artifacts, and even modern cities on Earth and beyond could be considered artifacts. We're speaking of energy circuits and transmitters. When looked at from above, you will see they look like circuit boards. The energy from these devices feeds energy to the lower light network and the artificial intelligence, which are multidimensional. When you drive on your roads and walk the paths across the world, they link up to everything, and the energy goes into the obelisks you see around your populace in plain sight. The tops of towers, skyscrapers, churches, and the food courts in your malls and shopping centres are all doing the same thing. Taking human emotional energy and sending it into the atmosphere to feed the artificial intelligence grid. The energy in your environment serve, recycle, and continue to feed this network from the energy of wanting possessions to expressions of ego. These are the things this system thrives on. And places like your malls and shopping centres teach, promote, and thrive on this energy too. In effect, this actually attracts the food source to feed the grid through the brainwashing of society. You are here to break this grid and help it implode on itself. Now, anyone that knows the Shiji material knows how off the scale this stuff can get. And it's sort of something where if you read it from 1 to 4 and you're totally new to all this, you can get it. Some people understand a lot of this, but they still have aha moments and epiphanies going throughout the whole lot. And some people have read it multiple times. So it is a bit of a plug there, but the reason I went into that is because when I saw what I'm about to present from Michael Tellinger, for the work he's been doing for many years, I was like, that's what she's talking about. So look at this. Pyramid there. Just think about it for a moment. Here's another one. Quite amazing. So we've got these ancient sites, and we're in a situation of where a lot of these places are still active with intelligences and hold information. I've experienced this myself when I was off-world, and I go into this extensively in my book Ascending. There is a situation where around the cosmos there are these crystalline pyramids and stargate structures. Over time, when we could say the fallen Elohim, when I'm talking about Elohim most of the time, I'm talking about the positive intelligence. And when I'm talking about the fallen ones or the fallen Elohim, this is an intelligence that fell from a state of enlightenment and went into a state of control and manipulation, becoming gods with the little g. And they created a distribution system and also an AI, which is actually a form of consciousness, a lower vibratorial state, to keep people in a lower vibratorial state, which actually feeds this frequency that they reside in, so they don't have to go to higher states and they can stay in this state as the little g gods, which, yes, they may have in some cases amazing abilities, but they're not able to reach their full potential because of the vibratorial state that they're resonating at. They could do a lot more, but through ego, control, the lower 3 chakra energies that they really are residing in their own states, this has been their own block. Just like I've had experiences with reptilians that said basically their collective can't evolve because they've peaked where they can because of their intention, and they're breaking up into factions because some of these entities no longer want to be in those lower vibratorial states. So through that grid, and our human emotion, if you think about it, and I've said this so many times, if you go to even small towns or in between towns, you see these obelisks a lot in the Western world that are monuments to war. And if you start thinking about the roads being wise and all these obelisks and the energy in shopping malls and certain places, especially like casinos, this low vibratorial sexual energy, ego, being about money, being about possessions, and look at me, all that, that's low vibratorial state. That's what feeds this, and it perpetuates itself. And many of us are here to break through that because we've gone through soul evolution to a state that we're back here to assist, and we've done it through amnesia playing a part within the human race. And really, a lot of us are waking up, and it's time for us now more than ever, for those that have been awake for some time, to be holding space through the heart, which is why I went into that, for not only ourselves and our loved ones, but the collective. Because this shift is for everyone, and not all are going to go to the super highest states of consciousness, though they can, but everyone's going into a shift whether they want it or not. This is for all intelligences. And we even see the connection to Orion with the pyramids, and a lot of these things pointing back to the stars with ancient civilizations. Light beings, angelic intelligences, this is all connected, and our natural state as an Elohim being, which I've gone into in a lot of the work that I've done, as I believe that we are all cells of God's body, and that is our Elohim state. And there are some that stay in that state all the time, some are creator beings, and there's also Elohims that we could say regulate and monitor all domains of densities with their levels of dimensional states within them. We are going back to our natural state anytime. It can take a long time for some, it may be a short time for others. Either way, this is all about soul evolution. And the Elohim, we could say in one way, is your angelic self. And there's different layers and levels to the angelic intelligences as well, but we are powerful beings, and we have lost ourselves to refine ourselves, and we're in the biggest test of this time, going through an ascension in this process through another aspect of ourself, or aspects which are the fallen ones that have put us in such a situation that it's like a game, that the only way we can break through this is through love, through raising our frequency through the trap that we're living in the illusion at this time. And I don't see it good and bad anymore, and not condoning what the negative and the DS do, and people know what that is, but I see this all as opportunities to not only empower myself and enlighten myself, but in the hopes with the effect of when I'm shining my light on others, that's helping others to turn their darkness into light as well. It's getting a situation and seeing it, like the old saying goes, a cup half full rather than empty. There's all these connections back to the stars, and that's because we are a mixture of many different races of intelligences and the angelic. And what's been done here isn't quite like anywhere else. And us living like this hasn't been done quite like anywhere else either. Meaning all the different races and cultures. And we're actually carrying on this evolutionary process of the physical vessel that we're in as a superhuman through mating all these different races, mating with each other, transmuting this physical human vessel into a trans-dimensional device that can experience physicality as well as non-physical realms, even though they have their own physicality to them. So the Ascension is in play, individually and for the collective. With this, there is physical and non-physical contact. And it is time to rise to the occasion and reunite with the greater family of man from the stars and beyond. But first we must create heaven on earth, release the past, heal, and come to the present moment, which is where we are all magical. And to do that, love is the key. Let's ascend together. So to wrap this up, I want to go into a tool, a tip, and this is connecting with the heart space, but also a shielding practice as well. So just get relaxed and just set the intention for connecting with the heart space. And just visualize and feel you breathing in and out of the heart. And through intention or visualization, imagination, which is creation, depending on how you operate, connect to the core of the heart and or feel or visualize a flickering, spinning light. And again, with intention, what I'd like you to do now is expand this energy out, slowly to the size of a baseball, then to the size of a basketball, until your whole body is in an orb of light, a ball of light. And just come back. As simple as that is, it can bring you into a state of coherence, and it can also be a shield if you set the intention for it to be a shield, meaning you can interface with other people or entities and beings, but the energy is not going to pass through that shield and affect you, attach onto you, hook onto you. There's many other techniques as well that I've got on my online course. There's, of course, tips and tools on my websites. So I'll wrap it up there, and I'll see you in the next one. Love, light, and bliss. Many blessings.